Good morning. In today class, we will discuss about non-ideal reactor. So before discussing non-ideal reactor, first of all, we should know what are the basic characteristic of an ideal reactor. So the main characteristic is that for an ideal reactor, the residence time of all molecule are identical. It means all the molecules in the reactor spend equal amount of time. And if there is a batch or CSTR reactor, then there should be perfect mixing. On the other hand, for PFR, there is no mixing at all. So there are two type of flow patterns in an ideal reactor. One is called plug flow and second one is mix flow. So in plug flow, there should not be any mixing, but on the other hand, for ideal mix flow, there should be perfect mixing. But these are ideal characteristic of the reactor, but real reactor always deviate from these ideals. So how we account this? So the goal, our main goal is mathematically describe non-ideal flow and solve design problem for reactor with non-ideal flow. So first of all, you have to identify the possible reason for deviations from ideal flow. Then you have to measure residence time distribution. It means you have to measure what are the amount of material spending, means how much time any molecule spend in the reactor, and what is their distribution of time. So we call them RTD. RTD means residence time distribution. Third one is after calculating residence time distribution, then there are several models which can be used to uh, find out the level of mixing, and ultimately you have to calculate the exit conversion in real reactor. In the previous classes, you have calculated conversion for an ideal PFR or CSTR, but here with the help of this model you can calculate the conversion which is made by an real reactor. So, in a real reactor, there are overall three somewhat interrelated factor make up the contacting or flow patterns. One is RTD, second one state of aggregation, and third one is earliness and lateness of mixing. The RTD means residence time distribution. It means we in that we calculate because different in a real reactor, if the reactor is ideal, in that case all the molecules spend equal amount of time in the reactor, but in real reactor that is not possible, and different molecules spend different amount of time in the reactor. So to account that, we need to calculate residence time distribution. In that we calculate the fraction of molecules spend different amount of time in the reactor, and then we plot a graph between the residence and time, or we can say RTD versus time. Second, so this residence time distribution affect the overall conversion in the reactor. Second is state of aggregation. First is we calculate different molecules spending different amount of time. Second is state of aggregation. If the molecule are perfectly distributed, then also the state of aggregation is very important. For the state of aggregation of flowing material, its tendency to clumps, or for a group of molecule to move about together. So as you can see in this diagram, this is a bubbling chamber. So here we have two type of fluid. One is macrofluid and another one is microfluid. So we are if we the bubbles are gas and the other fluid is liquid, then the bubbles are called macrofluid because they are separated. They are separate bubble. But on the other hand, the liquid is microfluid because they are continuous fluid. So their size of bubble is also important, because if the size of bubble change, the total surface area available for mass transfer or chemical reaction is also changing. So due to change in area, the overall conversion will also change. So the state of aggregation is very important for calculating overall conversion. Third one is earliness and lateness of mixing. That is also very important factor to determine overall conversion in the reactor. So there are several possibility. As you can see in this example, in first instance there is early mixing. It means whenever a material enter into the reactor, they get mixed up, and after that you can see there is flat velocity profile. It means all the material mix at the very early stage. In the second reactor, there is uniform mixing. So there is same velocity along whole vessel. And in the third case, there is late mixing. In the starting, there is no mixing, but at the end, there is well mixed region. So in first case, there is early mixing. Second, there is uniform mixing, and in third case, there is late mixing. So the type of mixing also affect the overall conversion in all the three reactors. However, the average velocity is constant, but you will get different amount of conversion due to different level of mixing at different position. So these are three important factors which ultimately define overall conversion in the reactor. First is what is their residence time distribution. Second is state of aggregation. What is the total surface area available for mass transfer and chemical reaction. Third one is the type of mixing, whether it's early mixing, late mixing, or uniform mixing. Now we will focus on CSTR and PFR. So if we account for non-ideal flow in a CSTR, then first of all we have to we should know what is an ideal CSTR. So in an ideal CSTR, there is uniform reactant concentration throughout the vessel. It means there is perfect mixing. There is no dead zone, no shortcoming bypassing. The reactant volume is perfectly mixed. So this is the case of an ideal reactor. But on the other hand, in real CSTR, there are high concentration at the feed entrance and relatively low concentration in the stagnant region called dead zone, usually corner and behind baffles. Because in ideal CSTR there are infinite mixing. So whenever uh, uh, material enter into the reactor, it immediately get mixed in the reactor, and the whole reactor volume is maintained at uniform velocity. But that is practically not possible. So whenever any material enter at this point, so you normally observe the reactant concentration is highest at the entrance point as compared to exit point. So there is always a concentration difference between these two locations, because the mixing is not infinite. Whatever mixing you have, you cannot have that type of mixing. On the other hand, if there are some dead zone present in the reactor, that may be near to any corner or baffle point. So if any material stuck in the dead zone, they will spend more time than the average time spent by other molecules. So if any and one more thing, there may be some short circuiting. For example, if any material enter at this point, instead of traveling into whole reactor, they can come out from the reactant directly. So in that case, that molecule will spend less amount of time than the than the average time which other molecules spend in the reactor. So this is called short circuiting. On the other hand, if any molecule stuck in the dead zone, it means that molecule will spend more time in the reactor than the other molecules. So, due to these non-ideal natures, some materials spend more time in the reactor. On the other hand, other molecules spend less amount of the in the reactor, and in that case, we get residence time distribution. But for an ideal CSTR, all molecules spend equal amount of time in the reactor. Similarly, if we talk about plug flow reactor, in ideal plug flow reactor, all reactant and product molecule at any given axial position move at same rate in the direction of bulk fluid. It means there are no mixing. All the molecules spend equal amount of time and there is no mixing. There are infinite number of plugs. They just move in series and they enter in the reactor. They spend equal amount of time and after that they just exist. But in case of real plug flow reactor, that not happened, and there may be some level of intermixing by passing shortcoming or channeling dead zone, etc. Due to that, they spend molecules spend different amount of time. As you can see in this example, this is a bed through which fluid is moving. So as you can see here, thickness of bed is small as compared to this point. So what happened, the fluid which flow through this direction will spend less amount of time. They quickly pass through this bed and spend less amount of time. But on the other hand, if some fluid move at this point where thickness of bed is larger, so they spend more amount of time. So in this way, there are extreme short circuiting and bypassing occurs. On the other hand, if you can see this diagram, there are some dead zone present which is colored in brown. So if any molecule stuck in that zone, that dead zone, then they will spend more amount of time. So or again, if you can see in this diagram, if again if we have some bed and if there are some channeling in the bed, so the molecule will come out at a faster rate than the other molecules through these channels. So due to present of the channeling and short circuiting and dead zones, different molecules spend different amount of time, and we get residence time distribution. But for an ideal PFR, all molecules should spend equal amount of time and there should not be intermixing. So to account that, we use residence time distribution. So the what is residence time distribution? The amount of time molecules spent in the reactor is called residence time distribution, or we simply call them RTD. So RTD is measured experimentally by injecting an inert tracer at time t equal to 0 and measuring the tracer concentration, which is denoted by Ct, at the exit as a function of time. That tracer should be easy to detect and have physical property similar to reactant. As you can see, if this is a reactor and if we put uh, again there are different method of injecting tracer, like we can give pulse input, we can give step input, we can give sinusoidal input, or there are many other method of injecting tracer. So for example, if we give a pulse injections means we give a pulse of injection, means immediately we give some tracer at ideally at zero time interval. So if we talk about an ideal pulse, it means this width of this pulse is equal to 0 and its height should be infinite. I'm talking about only ideal pulse injection. So for an ideal pulse injection, this width is 0 and height is infinite. but this is a real pulse injection. So this is concentration profile of pulse at the inlet level. So, and this is exit concentration of the pulse, this pulse input, this is pulse output. So if we have an ideal reactor, it means there are no intermixing. So whatever curve we get at the entrance, we also get similar curve at the exit point if there is no mixing. But for a real reactor in which there are some level of turbulence within the reactor, so due to that mixing we get something like that. There are some molecule which come out at a faster rate, other molecule come out uh, at a later time or spend more time. So we get this graph will get flattened. So in many case we know the distribution of residence time of the flowing fluid. We can predict the behavior of vessel as a reactor. Now again in this diagram it's mentioned, for example, if we have a ideal plug flow reactor. So in plug flow reactor there are no mixing. It means whatever the shape of curve at the inlet point, we get similar shape at the exit point, because there are no intermixing. On the other hand, for an ideal CSTR, because the characteristic of ideal CSTR is that there is infinite mixing. So whenever we inject tracer in the reactor, it immediately get mixed in the reactor, and we get maximum concentration at time t equal to 0. Time t equal to 0 means the time at which tracer injected into the reactor. So at that time we get highest concentration peak. But after some time the tracer come out from the reactor with the time being, and its concentration start declining, because the in we have pulse injection. We inject tracer at time t equal to 0 only. So at the initial point the its concentration in the reactor is highest, but we are there is continuous outlet in the reactor. So with the time being the tracer will come out from the reactor, and there is no more inlet of tracer in the reactor. So with the time being the concentration of the tracer decreases in the reactor, and we get this type of profile, maximum at the starting, and with the time being the tracer concentration start declining. But uh, these two graphs are for an ideal reactor, but for a real reactor we get this type of graph. So for a real PFR, there may be some channeling. So due to channeling, some molecule come out at a faster rate. So this peak shift in left side. But on the other hand, if there are some dead zone present in the reactor, due to that some molecules spend more amount of time as compared to the average time spent by other molecules, then this peak shift in right side. So if peak is shifting in left side, it means there are some channeling. But if it shift in left side, right side, it means there are some dead zone present in the reactor. So in real reactor, we get this type of profile. On the other hand, for real CSTR, we get this type of graph, because in an ideal reactor CSTR, we have infinite mixing. So whenever we inject tracer, it immediately mix into the CSTR, and we get maximum concentration at time t equal to 0 at the time of injection only. But in real reactor, the mixing is not infinite. Whenever we inject tracer, it takes some time to reach to exit point. So here you can see the peak is not at the at time t equal to 0, but it's is some time later we get the peak. On the other hand, if there are some dead zone present or some channeling or other non-ideal characteristics, then we get this random graph. Like here we are getting two peaks. So we are getting these two peaks due to non-ideal nature of the CSTR. Now the question arises how we calculate the RTD. RTD is residence time distribution function, and RTD describe the amount of time molecule have spent in the reactor. So this is calculated with the help of this formula. This residence time is also denoted by this ET equal to CT, the concentration divided by total concentration, sum of or you can say the tracer concentration at reactor exit between time T and T plus dt divided by sum of tracer concentration at exit for an infinite time. So this is the formula for calculating ET. Now fraction of material leaving the reactor that have resided in the reactor for a time between T1 and T2. So this ET is residence time function. So if we integrate that equation between time T1 and T2, then it will give you the fraction of material leaving the reactor that has resided in reactor for a time interval T1 and T2. So for example, in this one is T1 and T2. So we have to integrate this RTD function between time T1 and T2 to calculate this fraction. So if this time for time t less than 0, this ET will be 0 because we have not injected any tracer at that time. We injected tracer at time t equal to 0. So for time t greater than 0, this ET will be either equal to 0 or a positive quantity because mass fraction are always positive. Now fraction of fluid element in the exit stream that stream with a age less than T1. Less than T1 means if we integrate this ET function between time 0 to T1, then it will give fraction of fluid element in the exit stream with age less than T1. And for more than T1, for that you have to integrate between T1 to infinity. Now let us take one example. A pulse of tracer was injected into a reactor, and the effluent concentration as a function of time is in the graph below. Construct a figure of CT and ET and calculate the fraction of material that spent between 3 and 6 minutes in the reactor. So this time in minute is given and this concentration is given. So first of all, construct a figure of CT. Then you just plot these two value, concentration versus time. You will get this concentration versus time graph. Now you have to calculate ET. Formula was given over here. This ET is CT upon this integration of CT between 0 to infinity. So first of all you have to find out this term to calculate ET. Now this term, first of all you have to calculate this term. As you can see in this table here, up to 0 to 10 the step size is 1, but from 10 to 14 the step size is 2. So to integrate that you have to bifurcate this entire data uh, in two parts. First is from 0 to this 10, and the second one is 10 to 14 because we have different step size. So the total concentration will be integration of these terms. So that integration we divided in two parts because difference in step size. Then we can solve this integration with the help of Simpson one third rule. So here they are calculating first of all these parts using Simpson one third rule. So they apply Simpson one third rule. The formula is given over here. So after putting these value, finally the value is 47.4 gram minute per meter cube. Similarly, we can calculate this value again using Simpson rule. So there are three rules: Simpson one third rule, Simpson two third rule, and Simpson 3/8 rule. So we can use these method to calculate or integrate this term. So the second portion is this one. Now we have to calculate the second part. So here we are using Simpson two third rule to calculate this. The formula is again given over here. So we have calculated both the parts. Now put this in this equation to calculate overall this value. So this value can be calculated by summation of these two quantities, and finally the value is 50 gram minute per meter cube. Now we have calculated this, and we can put the value to calculate finally ET. So this is calculated, and ET is CT upon this integration of CT dt. And the denominator term we already calculated. Now we can put different value of CT to calculate ET at different time. So like ET0, ET1, ET2. ET0 means concentration here is C0. At ET1 the concentration is 1 5. Similarly we put these values. Finally we can calculate ET at different point, and after calculating at ET at different point, we can plot ET versus time graph. Now in third part we have to calculate fraction of material that spanned between 3 and 6 minutes in reactor. That will be equal to area under ET curve between 3 and 6 minutes. So now we have to integrate this ET function between 3 to 6. So again we are using Simpson 3/8 rule. So the formula is given over here. So with the help of this Simpson rule, we can calculate this integral term, and finally we can calculate this ET between time 3 and 6 minute, and the value is 0.51. So in this way we can solve our numericals. So in the previous slide we use pulse input. We can also use step input. In pulse input we give pulse of tracer, but in on the other hand in step input we give in step injection, like this. As you can see in this graph, it's just step, and that step is continuous. Because there are several disadvantages of pulse input. One is injection must be done in a very short time. As I told you earlier, for an ideal pulse, the thickness of concentration curve is 0 and its height is infinite. So the disadvantage is that injection must be done in a very short time. Second is can be inaccurate when C curve has a long tail. And another advantage disadvantage is amount of tracer used must be known. So these are several disadvantage of pulse input. Alternatively, ET can be determined using a step input. So in that, concentration of tracer is kept constant until outlet concentration equal to inlet concentration. So here C out can be calculated with the help of this formula, or ET again calculated with the help of this formula. Now another very important term used is FT function. One is RTD function or ET function. Second one is FT function. So FT function is nothing but the cumulative terms of ET function or RTD function. Again, this FT is cumulative terms of ET function. So this FT is fraction of effluent that has been in the reactor for less than time t, because this is just cumulative form of heating house. So in that the curve will not decline, it will continuously increase, and when all the tracer come out from the reactor, in that case we get ft equal to 1 fraction, because it tell you the fraction of effluent that has been in reactor for time less than t. So at time t equal to infinite, all the tracer will come out from the reactor and this fraction will be equal to 1. So at time t equal to infinity, this ft will be equal to infinity. Sorry, will be equal to 1. So ft equal to 0 when t is less than 0. It means we have not injected any tracer. So this because we have not injected, so this ft will be 0 for time t equal t less than 0. And we injected tracer at time t equal to 0. So for t equal to or greater than 0, we should have some positive value of ft. So if we calculate ft for any time t, then if we integrate this et function between time 0 to t, then it will give you ft value at that time, because this is cumulative value. Again, if we want to calculate the amount of material which spend time more than t, it that can be calculated by simply 1 minus ft. Ft is material spent time less than t. So if we take 1 minus ft, it means material spent time more than t. That is also explained in this graph. So 80% of molecules spend 40 minutes or less in the reactor. So as you can see over here. Now this is relationship between E and F curve, because as I told you, F is nothing but the cumulative form of ET. So if this is ET curve, so if we take cumulative form of this curve, we will get this curve. This curve will continuously increase because this is cumulative forms, and when all the tracer come out from the reactor, the final fraction will be equal to 1. So this ft can be calculated with the help of integrating this e, e curve. So if you want to calculate amount of material that spend time less than t, then you have to integrate between 0 to t. And this et can be calculated with the help of this formula. So you just memorize these two formula. That I told you, this ft can be calculated with the help of this formula, and these equations I also explained you. These are curve for ideal PFR and ideal CSTR. uh, Means the exit concentration. In PFR you will get a similar type of peak as it was at the inlet point, and in CSTR you will get maximum concentration at time t equal to 0, and it continuously decline, and that I explained you in previous slides also. But on the other hand, if in PFR there is some channeling, then some molecules spend less amount of time, so this peak will shift in left side. But on the other hand, if some dead zone is there, then this peak shift in right hand side. On the other hand, in CSTR, if there are some dead zone or some bypassing is there, then the graph will deviate from this ideal line, means ideal trends. The last very important topic is mean residence time. So for an reactor, the space time is defined as V upon V naught. Here V is volume of reactor and V0 is volumetric flow rate. So if we divide this volume of reactor by its volumetric flow rate, we can calculate the space time. And the mean residence time is equal to the space time in either ideal or non-ideal reactor, and that is calculated with the help of this formula. This space time or mean time can V upon V naught. So by calculating this mean residence time, the reactor volume can be determined from tracer experiment. Another important parameter is its variance. So variance will give you this separate of distribution. So that can be calculated with the help of this formula. Now this space time and mean residence time would be equal if the following two conditions are satisfied. One is no density change, second one is no back mixing. So in practical reactors, the above two may not be valid. Hence, there will be a difference between the residence time and space time. So this is end of today lecture. Thank you.